Good morning, welcome to the All for One Poland webinar. Today's topic is Legacy to the Leading Edge, Navigating SAP Integration Suite Migration. I'm happy to introduce our expert, Wojciech Lewandowski. I'm Octavia Radzio and I'm moderator of this meeting. So let's start by sharing some organizational issues. Today's webinar is recorded and it will be available on our YouTube profile and on our website. We invite you to ask any questions. We will answer them during the Q&A session after the presentation. And we'll make 2 short breaks, during which we will also ask you some questions. We want to learn about your situation in order to address the needs. Soon I will give the floor to our experts, but at first I'd like to introduce our company. We are All for One Poland and we support our customers in the 4 main areas: implementation and support services for SAP systems, implementation and maintenance for cloud environments, digitalization of processes and software development, and information security. As we all know, there are a lot of changes waiting for SAP using companies all over the world. And it's not just about migration to S/4HANA. On this slide, we present some of the most typical topics. Our Polish team is happy to support our customers in all these transformations all over the world. So if your software landscape is complex, then the integration topic really matters. And this is why today we would like to talk about migration to the new cloud environment, SAP Integration Suite. And soon I'll give the floor to our expert, Wojtek. This is your turn.
Thank you, Octavia. Before we start, just take a quick survey.
Right. Let's start the first survey. What is your role in your organization? We invite you to share your votes. I can see the voting is still ongoing. All right, thank you very much. I'm closing the voting and let's see the results.
Okay, so as we can see, most of you, there are managers or directors. There is not even one developer with us, at least according to survey. So I try to keep technical details to the minimum and just focus mostly on higher level and some business processes perspective. So let's now do one more step before we start the actual presentation. I would like you to look at this chart that you are seeing right now and try to answer the questions: what could have such an impact on business, on organization? So basically the exponential growth of the cost over the years. Obviously there is no one correct answer, but I would choose technical debt as one of the possible reasons behind this growth of cost. It's maybe not also the cost, but it can be time as well. To implement a new feature, to modify some existing feature. If we are using some legacy solution, it may take more time and also it's more costly to maintain such a solution. And it's not only my idea, because I've done a bit of research in this topic. And for example, there are many scientific papers on ResearchGate and also other scientific engines where we can find that basically there's the same trend. So growth of costs if we are trying to maintain legacy solutions. And there is always a line where it is cheaper to invest into upgrading the solution or switching to the new solution than trying to maintain our old solution. But of course, this line is different for every situation and every organization. So now the agenda for today's meeting. First, I would like to start with pointing out some challenges that may occur in case of IT landscape in organization. Then a brief recap about SAP Business Technology Platform and Integration Suite. After that, we jump into the core of this meeting, so preparation to the migration and the migration process itself. At the end, there is also a section dedicated for questions. So if you would like to ask some questions, you can wait till the end, or you can also ask the questions using the question section in this presentation. Then I will also answer them at the end of this meeting. So in case of digitalization in organization, we can point out certainly the problem or potential cause of the problem, which is modern technologies support. I will try to keep this example regarding to SAP Word. So in that case, we can, for example, if we are talking about interfaces, take on stage the predecessor of Integration Suite, so SAP PI, which in older version may have problem, for example, with support for TLS in version 1.2. This protocol is, of course, crucial for security reasons to pass the message over the internet. And this version is over 10 years old. So it's not even the modern, the newest technology, and still they may occur some problems. Of course, there are already some SAP notes and some instruction how to turn off this support, but that will cost us some additional work, so some additional cost and time just to make this absolutely standard requirement for most of the communication protocols right now. Then the other one is integration complexity. Here, I think it's obvious that when we are trying to expand our organization, we need to also to connect our main system with some third-party systems or some third-party services. And here, the best example would be, for example, the obligatory moving to electronic invoice system, which maybe it already is obligatory and will be obligatory in some European countries. In Poland, it will be required since the next year. So at least this is planned to be obligatory since next year. And that is just one example of another system that we need to connect with and we need to exchange information with. And of course, if we have a lot of third-party systems, there are also a lot of adapter types, there are a lot of protocols, there are a lot of authentication methods, data structures, and so on. And all of these need to be adjusted to our main system, which is not that easy if we are not choosing the proper tool and proper approach. Then the obvious one, so the security, I think I don't need to elaborate more about this. I just mentioned that security is strongly related with support for newest technologies. And of course, compliance, which comes with some ISO standards, some audit certificates, and it's also playing a big role. And it's also related to some new requirements, so it may be related to integration complexity. So as we see, all of these challenges in IT world have strong impact on each other. So we cannot treat them separately because it creates the whole landscape of potential sources of problems. Scalability and performance, that is the biggest problem, especially if we are hosting our own solutions. So we have our own servers and some on-premise systems, because then we need to adjust the load of our systems to the hardware setup. And for that, we need to have dedicated team maintaining this hardware and a lot of other actions. Here, I also would like to try to consider how could we remove or at least reduce these potential problems. And the easiest solutions, especially if we take into consideration scalability and performance, is moving into cloud. Because in that case, the whole responsibility of point number 4 here would be moved to the vendor of our system or of our platform. So it just eliminates this problem and may also reduce the cost, of course. That may also differ depending on the solution and individual situation. Then support for modern technologies could also be eliminated or reduced, because if we would use cloud solutions, the upgrades that are required to be up to date with newest technologies are out of the box. So we can just schedule them, or they can be even done automatically, which is not that easy in on-premise solution, because on-premise solution, we need to have some team that will plan this upgrade, and that may lead to some downtime in availability and so on. The last challenge I pointed here is learning process, maybe the biggest challenge of them all, because it's regarding to humans. And my point here was even not the learning, but more like managing the learning process inside the organization. So strategy to delegate tasks, choose what to learn, who should learn it, and when to learn it. So here we should just adjust. We should choose a right strategy, and we should know how to delegate some responsibilities and delegate some tasks to optimize our business processes, because time is the most valuable resource we have, not only in life but also in the organization. So choosing the right moment for some actions may be the key point that makes a difference in future and make us ready to be ready for the unknown, basically. Okay, so now I would also show you how SAP divides companies, because it divides it into two groups, which are digital natives and digital immigrants. Obviously, names of these groups are self-explanatory. So digital natives are just companies that have been created in the era of internet, in the era of technologies and digitalization. So they are probably more flexible to adjust and adopt new changes and face new IT challenges. And the digital immigrants, so companies that are on the market for decades and they are trying to move some of the processes to the digital form. But I would say that there is a better question here than just to try to point to what company is close to which group. Of course, it also can be something in between. But this question is, are the company ready to use the full potential of technologies? Because this is the key aspect. It doesn't matter if you're digital natives or digital immigrants. The most important is if the company can embrace the potential problems and use the modern technology in the optimal way, so the most efficient way, and be also able to adjust a newest technology, like nowadays it's obviously machine learning and the whole AI solutions, to its need. And how long does it take? And now moving to integration. In general, I would like to highlight that migration and also migration of interfaces is not just a tool change, or it should not be just a tool change. It is the whole process. So the reason behind I wanted to highlight this is because it gives the new possibilities for rethinking some of the processes. If we would have a project of migration, then we could also rethink, redesign, and evaluate our current solution that maybe are working, but the question is, if can they work more efficient? And that's looks like a good point that these two projects with optimizing solution and migrating solution can be combined. In case of cloud integration, It's even more because cloud integration is not just integration suite. Because if we look at the SAP PI tool, for example, it was just one tool for as a middleware for the integration. I will come to compare these two tools the next slide. But here, Integration Suite is just the core tool, core software on the cloud, but SAP provides us with more services regarding integration, which is, for example, master data integration. And this is dedicated service, which serves purpose of moving only master data from one system to the other. Then we have also services like Event Mesh and extended version of Event Mesh, which are easily integrated with the Integration Suite and other services provided by SAP in the cloud, but they offer us much more possibilities because we can do a real-time action upon some triggers, for example, in case of Integration Suite, or we can use advantages of some webhooks and other possible extensions to our interfaces and to trigger and data exchange of our interfaces even inside the process. Then, of course, we have many more services here. Like, I think nobody knows all of these services that are provided by SAP. And one more thing I also would like to mention, I know there is no developer on this meeting, but just to be aware that integration process, especially cloud integration, is not only limited to process integration processes. Of course, that's the core idea behind Integration Suite, but the cloud integration can also be part of the development process. So there is such a term really popular in development world like CI/CD, so continuous integration and continuous delivery, which is a methodology for building pipelines to easily manage the delivering of new features to the software. So it's just a really easy way to developers, but also it is easy way to manage the development projects and to see the outcome in a real time. And then where are all those services? Of course, all of them are on Business Technology Platform. There is only one such place for all of these services provided by SAP, and the scope of these services is also really vast because it can be also for development, for automations, for integration, AI, and also only business related with no development aspects. And then the other question is it really in use, or it's more like a marketing about this platform and services? So according to official data, a year ago, there were over 16,000 clients using BTP, or at least one of service of BTP. And I think nowadays it's maybe even more than 20,000 because it increased the number of users quite rapidly, but that is just my prediction. But what is a game changer here? It is that SAP allows to develop in a free tier mode for these services. Most of these services, including Integration Suite, have free tier version. So it is possible to build proof of concept without any costs. And that changes a lot of potential projects because it is easy to just make a demo version, try some processes, and we can decide after the trial that it was a good way to change, or it's definitely not for us, or we should invest more into developing this approach. So that is really key aspect of this platform. And now, as I said, let's compare the PO with its successor, so Integration Suite. If we look at the PO, it's not only the change of the graphic user interface, because in that case, there is a huge difference, but also of the developing and architecture of these tools, because for PO it was mostly for building point-to-point interfaces. So we just have interfaces, system A. We are delivering data to system B. We can do some mapping in between, obviously, but that's basically the core idea behind the PO. In Integration Suite, it's more about building the whole workflow between systems. So by workflow, I mean building a holistic perspective and holistic interface, combining and making an advantages with these cloud services that we can combine with Integration Suite. And what is more, what we can use with possibilities of Integration Suite itself, because building an interface is only one aspect of Integration Suite. So possibilities of PO are only partial possibilities of Integration Suite, because we can also, Integration Suite, build APIs. We can leverage some predefined packages. We can use some open connectors to very popular software solutions, and many more. And as we and as I also mentioned, this holistic perspective is the vision of SAP to combine all of the cloud solutions into one tool for managing it. The example could be Cloud ALM. It is SAP solution for project management, but also for monitoring and checking the health of our systems that are working in the clouds, like S/4HANA or Integration Suite or other cloud services. And that gives a perspective to just have one tool for managing all cloud solutions, which is not that easy to build in on-premise system that would require enormous costs and custom extensions. So it's just not worth it. I want to focus into today's webinar is only one aspect of Integration Suite, and this is strictly related to the migration process. It is called Assessment Migration Scenario, and it is a capability in Integration Suite giving us possibility to evaluate our already working interfaces on PO tool to potential migration into Integration Suite. And I will, of course, show it how these processes looks like. But before the preparation phase of this project and steps, let's take another survey. So basically another questions. Octavia, if you could.
Of course. So we would like to know, when does your organization plan to migrate the SAP integration tool? Please share your thoughts. Please cast your votes. All right, thank you very much. I'm closing the voting and let's see the results.
Okay, so as I see, there is not so many answers, but most, at least based on the survey, most would plan to the migration project within 3 years in general. So now let's see how this potential project may look like in details. So first of all, before we do the project, we need to prepare for the project, obviously. Here is first we need to do is just assess our internal needs. So just try to establish some goals of this project. Should it be the project for the whole migration? Should it be just a trial version of migration, 1 or 2 interfaces, and evaluating if it's working in a way we would like it to work, and so on. And then there is the strategy. I already briefly mentioned one of this strategy, but basically there are 2 approaches. First one is lift and shift. The other name for that is rehosting. And the second one is redesigning. In approach lift and shift, we are basically mirroring our interfaces from PO to Integration Suite. So we are doing migration one-to-one, and there is no need for some adjustment and potential improvements of the whole landscape and the architecture of interfaces. But the other approach, which in my opinion looks a bit more holistic and with potential benefits in future, is the redesigning, because in that case we can optimize some currently working solution we already have. We could try to think about reducing some messages. We could redesign also the development of these interfaces to make it more flexible for changes. Because as I mentioned, that may be one of the potential costs maintaining the legacy solution. And by legacy, it's not only the old software, but it's also a bad architecture of this software. So that may be also the case of the interfaces. So that's also the possibility to adapt it to the new architecture approach to make it easy for new feature. Then there are technical aspects that just need to be taken, like creating some global accounts, creating roles, and other necessary steps that just developer exchange a lot of emails and so on. So I will not go into details. Let's jump into evaluation. And this is the step when this tool I've shown you on previous slide is working. So it's evaluating these interfaces. And after that, we of course have the summary of this evaluation. Probably not 100% of interfaces will be extracted and evaluated successfully, because there are always some really complicated interfaces or some adapters and solutions on PO which are deprecated in Integration Suite. So it needs always some acceptance and verification done manually, and that is the ongoing process during this evaluation preparation. And after that, of course, when we have the summary of all costs and effort for that project, we can move to migration phase of these interfaces. But when we are at the migration phase, of course, there have been migration of S4 earlier before the migration of interfaces, I guess, because S4 is a term that everyone, even slightly related to SAP, has heard thousands of times. And the deadline for migration to S4 was 2027. So the question is, what is the deadline for migration of the interfaces? And the date is exactly the same. So it's also 2027 to migrate interfaces from PO to Integration Suite, because this is the deadline for support from SAP to PO solution. And after that, it will not be supported by default. And now let's see how this Integration Suite capabilities look like in reality. So this is the screenshot showing us how this tool presents itself. And using that, we can do two actions. So basically two requests. First of it is extract interfaces and then evaluate interface. Here, what you are seeing is the extraction process of interfaces. We have extracted 62 interfaces from our PO tool. And of course, there occurred some errors, but most of these interfaces has been extracted successfully. I just wanted to show you how it looks like. And then when we have all of these interfaces extracted, we can go to phase of evaluating them. And evaluation is done based off algorithm delivered by SAP. We can see how these algorithms are working, basically, but we cannot we can just see how it's working and how is the output of these algorithms. And on that table below, I'm showing you the evaluation summary because the whole screen is almost the same. It's just the change of the table, so it's a really simple and really user-friendly interface to use, and not only developer and consultant, almost everyone can within 10 minutes learn how to use this tool. As we can see, there are a bit different columns, but the most important one is the size and assessment category column. In size, it shows us how big the interface is. It can be small, medium, large, or extra large. So a t-shirt size category, we can say. And the assessment category. In assessment category, we can see if this interface, no matter if it's small or extra large, is ready to migrate or needs some adjustment or evaluation required. And by adjustment and evaluation, it is meant that it needs some manual action in Integration Suite to make it ready for just testing and for working properly. And when we have this table, there is one more, the most important aspect of this tool. So the summary of the estimated effort. And it is generated by the PDF file that we can download. And this PDF file has such a table, and it's completely out of the box. I didn't need to do anything to generate this table. And as we can see, they are all our interfaces with the range of minimum effort to maximum effort through average effort required for such projects. Here we can see that, for example, we have one medium interfaces with category adjustment required. So after the migration, we will need to do some manual development on Integration Suite to make it ready and working. But in general, there are 60 interfaces. Most of them are small interfaces in that example, and the whole project approximately will take 30 days. And that is our evaluation. And then when we have the evaluation, we can consider moving to migration itself. So when we have the evaluation done, which can be done using this free tier, as I mentioned. So before the project of migration, we can just do it without cost of preparation phase. And then we need to confirm the concept, the goals, and move to the technical aspects of migration. Here there are another technical actions like setting up naming convention, packages, Integration Suite, authorization, credentials, and so on. So again, don't go into details of that. Then it's migration itself. So this is a physical creation of new objects based on the old objects from PO, and then creation of new objects in Integration Suite. I will show in a minute how easy it is from integration perspective to do this step, because it's the quickest step of all of this. And then we have, of course, this adjustment phase. So depending if the interface requires some adjustment or evaluation, we need to do it manually. Not all of the interfaces may be always ready to migrate. Then, of course, we need to repeat this process, because here's one remark that I would like to make is Integration Suite Migration tool. Let us migrate these interfaces one by one. It is planned, and I think it is already in development stage by SAP to allow migration of interfaces at once, so all of the interfaces at once. But currently it can be done one by one, but it basically doesn't make any difference in my opinion, because I will show you that this migration takes about 30 seconds. Then, of course, the testing, so typical development life cycles. So develop, adjust, test, and again, adjust, test, and so on. And after we are done of migrating and developing the interfaces. And we can test them, and finally the acceptance test and E2E tests done with customers. And now let's see how the migration looks like. And it's just one button basically, because when we have the background of extraction that I've shown on the previous slide, we can only migrate this already extracted for evaluation interfaces. So we go to Integration Suite, we click Migrate, and then the pop-up screen appears. We choose the interface, click Next, 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 Confirm, Done. That's it. And again, Migrate, interface, Next, 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 Confirm, Done. Basically, that is the most typical approach. So it's really, really quick to migrate. The more effort would be even to extract them from PO system. Okay, and so the last question remains is what is the migration strategy for a bit higher perspective? So first thought is maybe it's like this, but it's definitely not the approach. This the worst possible approach to make. So let's just skip it to the correct one. And this is how it could be done. So as we have our 3-layer or 2-layer architecture, if development and test system is combined, then we can just connect production PO system to our development or test instance of Integration Suite, because we know that on the production system, there is no extra interfaces. So there is everything. We just need to migrate, and we don't need to generate potential additional costs of this project. And on the other hand, on the development system, there may be a lot of dummy objects which are not even working. So that would be the connection recommended. Maybe it can be done not from production or tests, but not from development. And if it comes to these 3 layers or three systems, it can be often combined into 2. So the development and test is combined. And here it's even the recommended approach from SAP to use 2 instance architecture. So it's official guideline to just use development and test instance tenant combined, and then we just reduce cost because we have 2 instances of Integration Suite. And then of course in this migration project we're doing the adjustment on development or test, and we're moving it to Integration Suite production. Okay, so now let's have a Q&A section. Octavia, are there any questions?
Yes, a few questions already appeared, and of course we invite you to ask more. So Wojtek, if you're ready, let's have a look on the first question. Are there any companies in Poland who already use SAP Integration Suite?
Yes, definitely. There are more than just a few, which are, as I'm aware of, that are using Integration Suite, and in general other BTP solutions as well, and even on production, and they are still operating. So yes, as my knowledge, it's definitely.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. What about migration from other integration middleware?
Okay, that's actually a really good question. Because what I focus on is direct migration from PO, so the previous tool for migration, to Integration Suite. All of these tools are delivered by SAP. So in this question, I assume that we are talking about the tool which is not delivered by SAP or is delivered by SAP, but is really old, like Business Connector. So let's start with the tool which is not delivered by SAP. And in that case, we don't have support from this assessment to our migration tool. And we would need to migrate all interfaces manually to the Integration Suite. But certainly that is the only difference. Basically, it's a bit more manual evaluation and work, but everything else, like the final solution, would be working the same, and maybe potential benefits will be the same. And if we are talking about business connector, then we would need to first migrate it to PO version and then connect it to integration suite.
All right, thank you very much. And one more question. Please tell me more about support after migration.
Okay, so by support after migration, also I see two possible answers. So first of all, is support after migration already done by migration from PO, and in that case, of course, we also provide the support for all of these projects and hypercare after the projects. And but on the other hand, if you are talking about support by SAP, like monitoring tools, for example, the one I've shown you from Cloud ALM, that's also included. So after the migration, it is possible to connect the migrated interface, I mean, the whole integration suite, to other infrastructure of cloud solutions by SAP. And in that case, it is also monitored and supported, and that's also maybe part of the project, obviously.
All right, so I think that's it. If you have any more questions, do not hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to share any information that you need.
Okay, so if these are all the questions, thank you for your participations. I hope that you've learned at least one new thing. That's it from my side.
All right, Wojtek, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you very much, dear participant. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions related to today's topic or any other SAP solutions or our competencies, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our webinar will be available on our website and our YouTube channel. I recommend you to take a look in the chat window. I just sent you the link to our website where you can find information about our upcoming webinars. And that's all for today. Thank you very much one more time. And after the webinar, there will be presented one more short survey. I invite you to participate and complete it. Thank you very, very much, and see you the next time.